Hi, I'm Ted Kofi, and welcome to another edition of the series that I call Truth Telling. Um, Tonight, I'm going to talk about and pose the question: where are the black elders in the United Kingdom? I should say, please hit the subscribe button, comment, share, uh, and pass this on to your friends because it helps to make the content I create more visible. But so the question is, where are the black elders? The Let me start by defining what I mean by a black elder. A black elder is somebody who is a guide, a mentor, and ultimately a protector of his own. Any society needs to have such guides, such mentors, such protectors to nurture the talent in the generations that follow the ones that preceded them. Without such elders, as I call them, the future is absolutely bleak. And in the United Kingdom, we have a paucity of people who can legitimately wear that title. Now, I'm a social commentator. It's something that I do. And it's taken me a while to give myself that label. And the reason is the idea of a black social commentator, the stereotype of such, doesn't exist. Black people are not supposed to have a valid, worthy, or useful opinion on the activities of the mainstream societies within which they live. We're kind of viewed as a cosmetic add-on. We're there to listen to what the mainstream does and take our cue from that. It is not within the culture of the United Kingdom at this moment to take original inspiration from people who look like me, and that is the first battle. That doesn't mean that social commentators don't exist. I mean, I could name some great people who are out there today. Lee Jasper has got a long history in promoting equal rights, especially for black people within the United Kingdom. Goes back a long time, goes back decades. Uh, Recently, a younger man, Chris Preddy, OBE, he does the most amazing videos. And it doesn't surprise me that just a few days ago, the Times ran a headline which said, from Finsbury Park to Buckingham Palace, Chris Preddy was given the OBE and now peddles coronavirus conspiracy theories. Well, that's as if to say that just because society gave you the OBE, the MBE, or any other honor, that's a gagging order, that you should say how high when society tells you to jump, that you should join the peanut gallery, braying in support of whatever ideas run in the mainstream at the time. To my mind, giving you the OBE, giving Chris Preddy the OBE, meant that he needed to engage with the very best of his wisdom, his talent, his capacity, and his courage to protect the United Kingdom. And it seems to me that's exactly what he does. Now, of course, we got MPs. Belrapiro Ade, she's a new one. She's caught a lot of people's imagination. There's the wonderful Dawn Butler, who, following in the steps of Diane Abbott, has fought really hard for her constituents. I'm told by people in Brent that she is an absolutely rock star member of Parliament. Of course, we have David Lammy, who rose very high, has sat on a number of boards looking at judicial inquiries into the effects of the legal system in the United Kingdom. And in the past, we've had people, wonderful people like Darcus Howe. And yet, despite all of this, the stereotype, the idea of the black social commentator doesn't exist in the United Kingdom. Why? I have to say this, that the trouble is that for black people to have any merit, any worth associated with their work or their being, they need validation by the mainstream. White people don't need that. All white people need to do is to demonstrate talent. The public will decide where it goes. But black people need to be validated by the mainstream. Now, the sad thing is, this attitude which grew up or which was developed in mainstream Britain or white Britain has by osmosis kind of leached into the black community, in my opinion, such that black people themselves don't listen to people unless they're endorsed by the white mainstream, unless, of course, they are eye-rolling nuts, which there are several of those around, and they have acquired positions of high office and high visibility. And the opinion within the minority ethnic communities is that basically they're gatekeepers. They're people who are there and been elevated to do the bidding of their white masters, literally in that way. And for that reason have lost most of their appeal for the constituency from which they were drawn. Now, recently I watched a video by Noam Chomsky, the MIT social commentator and professor. And it was an interview he did with Andrew Marr. This must have been back in the 80s. It was quite a long time ago. But it was the most articulate defense of this matter of validation. Basically, what Prof. Chomsky was saying was that propaganda and censorship in the United Kingdom is very subtly managed. It's managed subtly because the only people who rise to certain positions of power, authority, and influence are those who are filtered through the system, implying that unless you hold certain attitudes, beliefs, and the behaviors that go with them, you won't rise beyond a certain point. And this sounds the death knell for the concept of the black elder. Because the system requires that people who look like me need to be validated by people who are essentially white, outside of my cohort, outside of my community, and with a certain set of values, it's very difficult for those who actually have the natural talent to be social leaders, to be opinion formers, and so on and so forth, to be validated by the mainstream society. Now, when it comes to the creation of black elders, the biggest difficulty, it seems to me, is that this society actually doesn't know how to respect black people. It doesn't know how because nowhere in people's upbringing were they taught explicitly to respect black people. They were taught, in the main, a series of stereotypes, starting with educational curricula, and then carried through by the media, and then their lived experiences in society, that somehow black people were worth less than. And this, though denied, is revealed in all the social outputs of our society. And the black people who buck the trend are those who reinvent themselves to be something that their own communities don't recognize. And so we have a situation in that elders who are usually endorsed by their home communities are unendorsed by their home communities, often because they're simply not validated by the mainstream society. And even though our communities give them, in many cases, the opportunity to become leaders, there is some kind of disconnect. There is a kind of dissonance, it seems, between the roles that their native communities would like an elder to play and the role that the mainstream community will permit or allow black people to play. Now, the only solution to this problem seems to me to delink the idea of worth from a requirement of validation by people who aren't black. And so much is hanging on this, so much is riding on this, that it's something that I'd like those who view this video to think carefully about. If we don't have elders, our young kids don't have anybody to look up to. If they don't have anybody to look up to, they are limited, constrained by the wisdom, the testosterone and other hormones running through all of us as they did when we were teenagers. The whole business of having an elder is that he's been there, seen it, done that before. He knows where the pitfalls are. He has the benefit of the wisdom of hindsight behind him. And so he can help to not suppress, not order, not control, not kind of limit young people, but he has the opportunity to guide, nurture, and protect them. Sometimes, as any parent will tell you, sometimes you protect people from themselves, but you do it with compassion. So that's the issue now. I think the black community needs to start thinking about who its elders are, not those ones which are imposed by that community, by a constituency who doesn't really know how to respect the black community. Nobody taught them. See, when I say that, I think it sounds so harsh. Well, actually, it is harsh, but it's also very, very, very true. Beyond the stereotypes of what you see in the media, of what you learn in the classroom, most people are not taught the idea that a black person, except for a unicorn, and there are always unicorns everywhere, you will always find a Nelson Mandela, you will always find a Kwame Nkrumah, you will always find an MLK, you will always find a Malcolm X, though society didn't endorse him. You will always find unicorns amongst these, but within the mainstream of society, the idea of a black leader doesn't exist, and that's what black elders are, whether they like it or not. So let's grasp the opportunity is my natural thought. But this is something I can't solve. This is something that you must all apply your wisdom to. Thanks very much. I'm Ted Kofi. Please do subscribe to this video, comment and share. And we'll look at more truth telling as time goes by. Thank you very much.